Okay, so we're going to go through the primary survey leading up to the delivery of CPR. And we're going to assume, for the purpose of this demonstration, that our casualty is both unconscious and not breathing. So we're starting with the worst case scenario, and then later on, as the course moves on, we'll go through some of the less serious situations. So we use the acronym, the mnemonic DOCTORS ABC, DRS ABC, to help us remember the order that these checks come in. So what do you think the first thing we need to do is, that starts with the D? Any thoughts? Danger. We want to check for danger. We don't want to be running into a situation that puts ourselves at risk, or we need to identify dangers that could be making them worse, making the casualty worse. So we'll deal with that first. Once we're happy there's no danger, we can approach the casualty. We're on our R now, and we're going to start talking to her, because the R of DOCTORS ABC stands for response. So we start talking to her. Hello, Annie? Annie, can you hear me? Annie, what's wrong? And if she doesn't respond straight away, we can tap and squeeze her shoulder. Now what I've done there is I've spoken to her. She didn't respond to me verbally, so I went closer to her ears to give her a better chance, and when she still didn't respond, I gave her shoulder a squeeze in case she can respond to the physical contact. If she has responded, then we would deal with what response we get and find out a little bit more as we go on. But as our casualty here hasn't responded, we need to move on. Now what do we know so far?
No dangers.
We know that it's safe, we know there are no dangers, and what do we know about the casualty?
No response.
Which means?
She is unconscious.
She's unconscious, she's unresponsive. So what is she going to need as soon as possible? Medical help. Yeah. So what we do at this point is we're going to get somebody to call the ambulance as quickly as we can. No matter what we find later on, we need the ambulance to this person. So can you phone an ambulance for me, please? This casualty is unconscious. Good. Always make sure you've got a response from the person that you're asking, so you know it's happening, okay? We can now move on to the ABC part. A stands for airway, so we're going to check that nothing is causing obstruction externally, so nothing strangling her. Nothing is in the mouth causing a problem to her breathing, which we might easily remove. We're not going to go fishing because we might lose a finger or make it worse, push it deeper, cause more injury. And then we're finally going to tilt the head with a hand on the forehead, supporting hand under the chin. So we're easing pressure off the airway and moving the tongue out of the way so that she can breathe past it. Now with the head in that position, we need to make sure she can actually breathe. And to do that, we get down as low as we can, so the ear is above the nose. Any breath might be felt on the cheek, and we can look along the line of the chest and the stomach to see if there's any movement. But for no longer than 10 seconds, because we want to get both inhale and exhale. If we identify that she is breathing, then we want to make sure that can continue. But in our casualty, she isn't breathing, so we're going to need to do something else. It's not a bad idea at this point to talk to your person who's hopefully on the phone to the ambulance by now and add that new piece of information to them so they can keep them up to date that she's not breathing. And I'm now going to carry on and do some CPR. Move that oxygen around her body to keep her going. To begin CPR, we're going to put a heel of our hand in the centre of the chest, our other hand on top, keeping the fingers clear. We don't want to be pushing directly onto the ribs, that's going to get into the way and interfere with how deep we can compress. We're going to lock our arms out, bring our body up and above the chest, use our body weight, and start to compress in a smooth rhythm, approximately 2 a second, 100 to 100 beats per minute, and we're going to push down 5 to 6 centimetres into the chest cavity. If we don't push far enough down, then we won't put enough pressure onto the heart, and if we don't keep a decent rhythm, we're not going to move the blood effectively through the chambers of the heart. Once you've done 30, you can pause, because we're going to do the breaths. The compressions are the more important part, so if you're not going to do the breaths because of either extra damage or you're just unwilling to do that, then you would just continue with compressions. If you are going to do the breaths, you tilt the head as you did before, but this time you're going to be pinching the nose closed. Make a full firm contact around the mouth and transfer 2 breaths into the casualty. Try and watch for the rise of the chest so you know it's been successful. And then as soon as the 2 breaths return for your next round of 30 to 30